right, it's happened again. We can add another thing onto the list of things that are killing ham radio. And it's probably one that you would not expect. That's right, you've heard it here first. Elon Musk and SpaceX is causing ham radio to die.
So that's
is that true?
That's delightful.
What is that actually happened?
Of course it happened. I think this is a reflection of how just
oh my god
dark we've become.
Oh my god.
A lot of
Well, kinda, but not really. So I was having a look at various news in ham radio, as I normally do, to see if there's anything interesting that has popped up recently, and I come across this article, which was on Earth Sky. It speaks here about the SpaceX launch that was just the other day, punching a hole in the ionosphere. SpaceX, they launched some Starlink satellites, as they have been doing. They've been a little bit controversial in launching these satellites, but they did this launch here on July the 19th, and it punched a hole in the ionosphere, which is part of the Earth's atmosphere that we as amateur radio operators actually use quite often to get long distance contacts, mainly on HF radio. And this professor from the Boston University here speaks a little bit about it, saying that it's a well-studied phenomenon and it actually happens quite often. And he said that he reviewed the footage here from July the 19th, and he said that the ionosphere's F region peak for that time of day, where this second stage engine burning occurred, and it's quite possible that an ionospheric hole was made. So I guess the question is, and the title of this video is, well, how does this actually affect ham radio operators? Why is it killing amateur radio? Well, ham radio operators here may notice holes in the ionosphere when shortwave signals fail to skip over the horizon. They shoot through holes instead of bouncing back to Earth. So in other words, we could have a slight disturbance in the ionosphere when we send a signal on HF. It might just pass straight through the ionosphere and into space. Whilst they might occur, they're usually relatively short-lived until the sun comes back up and re-ionizes the ionosphere again. And in actual fact, this, as I said, it's not an uncommon thing here. A friend of mine sent this to me on Twitter. This shows here a Japan H3 rocket that's self-destructed apparently, and this is the ionospheric disturbance that happened. Okay, so maybe Elon's not quite ruining amateur radio as far as this is concerned.
And I thought I ladled the gravy on thick.
But I thought it was an interesting story anyway, the effects that it can have on the ionospheres. Now, I also saw this posted on social media, and someone asked the question wondering whether Elon Musk is an amateur radio operator. Well, I had a look on the FCC database, and whilst I thought that no, he's not listed in there. So unless he's under an alias, then I don't think he's an amateur radio operator. But hey, keep launching your Starlink satellites, mate. Stop destroying the ionosphere for the rest of us, because, you know, we're enjoying Solar Cycle 25. We don't want it wrecked. Only joking. Perhaps you're like me and you've only been an amateur radio operator through a few solar cycle peaks because they only happen every 11 years or so. And if you want to learn more about how to get the most out of the solar cycle, how to optimize your station and what to expect, then I did a video on Solar Cycle 25 as we start to reach its peak. You can check it out right over here.